I'll let Mr. Howard go, and then the board members can ask any questions that they want to ask.
When you say, Cheryl, that you're talking about next year, you're actually talking about next calendar year, correct? Yes. But that is, part of that is the current school year for us, because our school year doesn't end until May. I certainly don't want to speak for the board, but as the superintendent, I do have an opinion on this matter. And in a normal year, I would say that I don't think anyone would be opposed to doing this. I mean, I remember even as a kid back in Pike County that the schools did this. I don't think it would be any issue at all. And we could probably schedule our professional development around those couple of days. But this is anything but a normal year. And everything that we've tried to do and are trying to do is to minimize the number of people that are coming in and out of the building. Because everything that we do is to try to ensure that we can stay in school for 5 days a week for our kids. There's a lot of things that we've not been able to do and we've had to forego because of COVID. We've got Veterans Day coming up. All of our buildings every year had a really nice Veterans Day program. We're not going to be able to do that this year. We can't bring those people into the building. Our field house, generally by this time of year, we've opened it up to the public for people to be able to come in to walk and exercise and play ball. We're not doing that. We're not having our school carnivals this year. As I said, everything that we do is to try to minimize the number of people that are coming in and out of the building. And I think that by us doing that is contradictory to what our mission has been so far. As I said, on a normal year, I would certainly have no problem with it. The other thing is that we don't know what's going to be happening in May. I mean, back when this thing started in the spring, who would have thought that by now we'd still be, it's even worse now than what it was then. If you look at the latest numbers on Friday, we had the highest numbers we've ever had for the state of Ohio. So who's to say what will be happening in the month of May? And I don't know that we can make a commitment that far in advance based on the information that we have at this particular time. So for those reasons, I would be opposed to it. But again, I don't want to speak for the board. That's a decision that you guys can make.
I would say that right now, this is just my opinion, that right now, making that decision far out, like he said, would probably be not a good idea. Now, who's to say in the spring or as it gets closer, as we see what's happening? I mean, we can always come back and readdress it then, so we have up-to-date information and how this coronavirus is progressing or digressing. So that's just my thoughts on it. Any other?
I have a question. So we say one service day, but you need to set up the night before probably? Yes. And then when would the sanitation be done? That same night?
I really don't want to leave you guys waiting, though, because I know you have deadlines and so forth to meet, and you need to have a decision. Just like everything we do, you know, everybody needs to plan, and so it's my hope that tonight we could at least make a decision for the May primary, and as she said, you know, possible maybe come next November, a year from now, 13 months from now, depending upon the coronavirus at that time, we might be able to do something then, but I just don't think that it's in our best interest to make that commitment for the month of May with the information that we have available right now. So unless someone thinks otherwise, then I think that we owe it to them to give them a decision tonight so that they're not waiting on a response.
I had the same question that Ms. Harless asked, and I kind of, maybe we should just table that until after May and just see how it goes, make a possibility for November. Do we need a motion? Or?
Yeah, we will here in a minute. I wanted to ask one more question. If nobody else has anything. As far as the cleaning goes, would it be a problem if we used our own staff here and do it and then just either bill or something that way we're using the same cleaning stuff and all that? Yeah, I just think right. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I would like to get a motion to vote on up to a motion that we vote on this up for the next coming May election, and then we can readdress the November at a later time then. Sure.
What would be a good time for us to come back to you guys for November?
Mr. Howard, that'd be.
Yeah, sure. I'm not overly concerned about the getting it done before the school calendar is approved, because we have some wiggle room there. We work with the union to pick out the days for our professional development, and I don't think that is really the issue, at least not for me. I mean, I think that the big issue for me is just the COVID situation and the unknown. So I would think that once, you know, any time after May, I mean, you kind of want to play it by ear. If it's still as bad as it is now come May, then obviously we're going to wait a few more months. But you know, maybe into the summer, you know, June, July, that type of time frame. But that's just a guesstimate based on, you know, how things are going at that particular time.
That would give them time to plan ahead
Sure.
and maybe take a look at whatever Oak Hill and Wellston do in May and see how it goes, and then you've got means to change things for November. Would that?
Yeah, that would be fine. I just wanted to make sure that we don't come too late to get on.
No, because actually we will be approving our calendar for the 21-22 school year in probably February. So I mean, it's definitely going to be after that. But what I'm telling you is that, to me, is not going to cause us to say no, that we've already got the calendar scheduled, because we have the ability to be able to have waiver days, and we can select those days. So I'm not worried about that part of it. So I don't think you need to come before we approve the academic calendar for 21-22. So.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in too and talking about it. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and.
Let me just make a recommendation, and based on the conversation here, that we not permit the election to take place here in May, but that we revisit regarding the November general election in 2021. If I could That
Get
would be
a-
the recommendation, so if we could have a motion to that
Get a
effect.
I'll
motion
make
for
the
the.
motion of what Mr. Howard just said.
I'll second it.
Morris,
Yes.
Harless,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Now, at this time in the meeting, normally we'll start our agenda in a regular meeting. You're welcome to stay if you want, or anybody that wants to leave, you're welcome to leave now. You don't have to stay. That's totally
Thank
up
you,
to
ladies, for coming, though. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
They've been in workshops all day, training
Have
people
they?
to work the elections.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll move on now to the consent agenda. Mr. Howard?
Okay. It is recommended that the board approve the consent agenda as follows. Item number A, recommend that we accept the following resignations: Courtney Fraley, Rita Lance, and Faith Swackhammer. Item number B, recommendation to employ Ashley Farley as a bus driver, retroactive to 9/28. Item C, recommendation that we employ Martha Cook and Nicole Havens as 047 classified employees. Item D, recommendation that we approve a whole list of supplemental contracts there. I'm not going to read through all of those. There's a bunch of them. Item E is a recommendation that we approve Cindy Fisher and Vanita Whitcamp as site assistants for the Latchkey program. Item F, recommendation that we employ Lakeisha Snyder as a van or car driver for the district on an as-needed basis. Item G is a recommendation that we employ Haley Richardson and Andrew Thompson as certified subs. Item H is a recommendation that we employ a whole host of individuals there as classified subs for the positions noted. Item I is a recommendation to approve an MOU with Adena Health Systems for speech services for our students. Item J is a recommendation to approve the Jackson Takedown Club and the Southview PTO as school support groups for the current school year. Item K, a recommendation to approve Chad Carpenter, Steve Sprague, and Gracie Walburn as volunteers in the athletic department. Item L, recommendation to create a fund for the Chromebook protection plan for the district. And I believe that concludes the consent agenda.
All right.
Where does
Anybody
the-
have any questions?
Yes, where does the money come from on the Chromebook protection?
That, you want to explain, you want me to?
Sure. So since the students are taking the Chromebooks home, it works kind of like an insurance plan to where if there's any minor damage that is done to the Chromebook while they have it at home, then instead of having to pay the full cost to replace an entire Chromebook, they can use that part of this money will go into a fund and then used to do minor repairs that weren't malicious in intent that could be covered as like an insurance policy. And then if there's any major damages that were malicious intent, then that would be the responsibility of the students. So we did this back in the early spring, beginning part of COVID we did it for when we went to the one-to-one for the middle school and high school. But now what we're seeing is there's a need for elementary as well because they are taking theirs home. So this is to cover the elementary part of the program.
And I think what is that, Steve, $25? So it's $25 that a parent will pay for insurance for their child's Chromebook. And as she said, if there's any kind of minor damage, that money is in a fund here for the district. We take the money out, purchase materials and supplies to fix the Chromebooks.
All right, if there are no other questions, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
And I need a second.
Second.
Smith,
Yes?
Moore,
Yes.
Harless,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes. Move on to the treasurer's report. Ms. Strasser.
Just one item tonight, the standard treasurer's report for the period ending September 30th, 2020.
And I need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Smith,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Harless,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, we'll move on to information and discussion items. We have a few items on Mr. Howard.
Yeah, the summer paving project, the last 3 years, we have done a new building site each year. We started with the high school, and then we did the middle school, and then last year we did Southview Elementary. In your packet or your information materials for the board meeting, Mr. Hemsley put together, you should have some pictures of what we're looking at paving at Westview and Northview. If possible, we'd like to try to get both of those done this year because surface area wise, it's probably not a whole lot different. The two of those buildings is what we've done. I know the high school is way more, the middle school is obviously way more, but even last year when we did Southview, we finished up a small piece or section here behind the high school. So we think that it's probably comparable to the amount of area that we did last year. So we have submitted, well, Mr. Hemsley has submitted information to people who in the last few years have bid on these particular projects, and we should probably within the next month or so be getting some prices back from those people. And then at that point in time, we'll make a determination as to whether or not we want to try to do both of those buildings or just one. I really hate for either one of those two buildings to go another year because the pavement is in pretty bad shape at both of those particular buildings. So if possible, we'd like to knock both of those out this coming year, but depending upon what we see from the quotes that come back, we'll make that determination at that time. We talked about B already, the Board of Elections request. C is our health insurance update. You'll be pleased to know that, I see Mr. Ball here tonight, and thank him for coming, but we got a great deal on our upcoming insurance. Plan's exactly the same, nothing changed, same carrier, and no increase, a 0%, which is really kind of unheard of. We actually got them to commit to a 2-year agreement with us, where the second year can be no higher, there's a cap on it, of 15% increase. Now, that doesn't mean it'll be 15%. That just means that no matter what happens in the district with our health, it can be no higher than 15%. There's a grid where it could be 0, it could be 15% will be the highest starting point 2 years from now. So I'm just really excited about that because that's huge. Health insurance in the last 10, at least the last 7 or 8 years is, it's just going wild everywhere. So I appreciate the work that Pat Ball did on this because I don't know how we got it to a 0 this time, but we'll take it, and hopefully we can, at the end of this year, we'll start off with a 15 and negotiate it down from there. And we're doing a lot of things in the district to try to curb our usage and get our people to use it wisely. We've got an event coming up here that we call the Welloween, and we're going to be having an early dismissal day, and all of our people will come into the building. They'll have scheduled times and have biometric screening and a whole lot of different things that they take information and will hopefully allow you to be able to make some changes in your lifestyle and become healthier. That's also one of the things that, if you remember last year, we ended up getting back about, what was it, Rachel, $150,000, and that was one of the things that we needed to do. We had to participate in that, and we had to have a certain percent of our employees participate in that, and we met that mark last year. There's a couple of other things that we have to do as well, and so we're pretty well on our way to meeting those other two parameters, and if we can get the majority of our people to show up for this biometric screening, we think that we should be able to meet that again this year. So I don't know if any of you have any questions for Pat. I mean,
I'd just like to mimic what Mr. Howard said. We really appreciate the work you've done and what you do, and I know it's a lot of work, and that's unbelievable, you know, to get a 0% increase. So I just want to thank you also.
Mr. Murray's in here. He's also on the
And Mr.
insurance committee.
Yeah, Mr. Murray, we appreciate the committee's work because we know you work hand in hand a lot, and that's great.
Okay. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the voting that, and I just wanted to get this out there now, obviously we're not going to be able to have our Veterans Day programs in the building, and I know all of you guys have been in the buildings and you've seen those, and it's really a cool thing that our kids do every year. I don't know, there's a possibility that maybe some of the buildings, particularly maybe the high school and the middle school, will be able to do some kind of a virtual program, but we don't think that it would be wise to bring, you know, our veterans, who are obviously a lot of them elderly people, into our buildings and risk, you know, their health. So that's something that won't be taking place this year, thanks to COVID. The next thing is the community Thanksgiving dinner. That is something that is a big deal here also every year. We're still talking about that, trying to figure out a way that we can do something with it. My biggest concern was, you know, having all those people, if you've ever been to it, come out here in the Commons, and there's people coming and going for a few hours. A lot of people. But there's no way we can do that. But Jackie, our food service coordinator, tells me that probably a bigger issue is, I mean, what we could do with that piece of it is it could just be meals that people come and pick up and they're only to go. But I guess one of the bigger issues is the preparation of the food that takes place. And, you know, those are all those things that go on behind the scenes that we don't, well, I know you've pulled turkeys many times, so you know, but I guess there are as many as 15 or 20 people a couple of days ahead of time in our kitchens that are working to make this thing happen. And we can't have all those people in that close proximity working with each other. So we're still trying to figure out something to be able to do something with the Thanksgiving dinner. I've got a call in and I'm waiting to get back tomorrow, but I just wanted to put that on the radar that that's still out there and we don't know exactly what we're going to be doing at this time. Online education, the end of the first 9 weeks is approaching. It's this Friday. So we have a lot of parents that have indicated that their kids are going to be coming back to school for the second 9 weeks. We had anywhere between, depending upon the day, because we allowed people to go from in-person to online if they chose to at a given time. We had as many as 500 kids at one time that were being educated online, but from the phone calls and from talking to the principals, it sounds like that a lot of those kids are going to be coming back to in-person learning. Is that not what you're finding, Ms. Oxenbein? Yeah. So I think that you're going to see a lot of those kids. There'll still be some that are going to go ahead and stay with the online program, but a lot of them are going to be coming back to in-person learning.
Mr. Howard, do
I
you
have a
have any
question,
feedback
too.
on kids going out?
Excuse me?
Do you have any feedback on the numbers of kids that might be wanting to go out the next 9 weeks?
There are a few that are wanting to go out, but it's mainly high school and middle school as opposed to elementary. Far more elementary kids are wanting, or parents are wanting those kids to come back. And if there are kids that are deciding to go online now, it's more high school, and I suspect that that's because they can work independently, and a lot of the parents have found out that this is a lot of work. I mean, it's not just work for the kids, but it's work for the parents, especially if you've got a child that's in the primary grades, you know, K1, 2. I mean, somebody's got to sit there with those kids for hours a day, and, you know, it's a huge time commitment. It's just a big sacrifice, and so a lot of we're finding that a lot of the elementary kids are going to be coming back.
So I have a question. Have we monitored how our teachers are doing? Has this been, I mean, didn't we say they had the option to opt in and opt out every 9 weeks as well?
Our teachers?
Yes.
Yes. And actually, we've been working on that this week. all of our teachers at the elementary are coming back, with the exception of 3. And we've replaced those with 3 other teachers. And I've not been told that any of the high school or middle school people are not coming back. So
They're not coming back, or?
I've not been told that any are not
Oh,
coming
okay,
back.
okay.
So,
So we have all the grades still covered.
yes.
Okay, great.
The other thing, real quickly, that I wanted to show our viewers out there is that I'm not sure people are aware, but on our district website, if you go to www.jcs.k12.oh.us, this is the screen that will come up. We have a COVID report here. I update this every Monday. Now, obviously, it's going to stay the same from Monday through Friday, and sometimes things change, so it's not at any given minute correct. But I can't update it every day, every hour of every day, because it's constantly changing. But we update it once a week. But if you go to this website, and you, on the left-hand side in the gray box, Rachel, if you click on COVID-19 resources, this screen will come up. Go to the dashboard first. Okay, we have each building, we have it broken down by each building, and we will tell you how many students are quarantined on that Monday morning, how many students are currently positive, how many of our staff are quarantined on that particular Monday morning, and how many of our staff have tested positive. That's for each of the 5 buildings. There's our 3 elementary buildings. You can see that, for example, right now at Northview Elementary, we have 12 students that are quarantined. We have no students that are currently positive. We have 3 staff that are quarantined and 1 staff that is positive. Westview has 3 students that are quarantined, and we have 1 staff positive at Westview. We have a spot for district-wide, and this is for individuals who don't fit into any one particular building. People at my office, maintenance people, bus drivers that we don't assign to any particular building. Those are our district-wide staff. Right now, we have none quarantined and none positive. We also have a spot here for our athletics and band. We have currently, or as of Monday, yesterday, we had 1 athlete or band member that was quarantined and none that were positive. And then we have the totals. So as of Monday morning, we had 26 students in the district that were quarantined. We had no students that were positive. We had 5 staff that were quarantined and 2 staff that had tested positive. So this information is there all the time for anybody to be able to look at. The other thing I want to point out is that you'll see here, anytime that we have a positive case in any of our schools, whether it's a staff or student, we put a letter on this website. This one here is at Southview, October 12th. We've recently learned that a student or staff member at Southview's tested positive. We're also sending out to notify parents email. We've been working to try to collect as many emails as we can. I think we've got the most of those, don't we, Mr. Marion? Or maybe a few outliers out there. But the law requires that we contact our parents, and the robocall does not suffice. It has to be in writing. So we're using email and the website, the letter on the website, do meet the definition of how we need to be able to notify our parents. The robocall does not. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that's on there. So again, let me go back. If you go to our district website, this is the main page that pops up. Over on the left-hand side, you see COVID-19 resources. If you click that, you get over here, you'll see the letters. There are probably some other ones on there as well. And then you can also look at the dashboard. So just want to make sure that everybody knew that that was on there, because we believe in full disclosure. It's all there. Not trying to hide anything from anybody. And I think that I think our people have really done a fantastic job. You know, we've got people coming and going at different times. I mean, most of these 26 people will probably be back next week, but there'll probably be a few others, you know, that have been exposed, not necessarily here at school, but somewhere, that are now quarantined. So that's the other thing people need to understand and take into consideration, that these people that are quarantined, when you see a big number like that, a lot of times those are incidents and events that happen outside of the school setting. It didn't happen necessarily here at school. Now, it's possible if you had one kid that came to school and he's been in a classroom of 15 kids, and now those 15 kids are all quarantined. But one of the things that we've done a really, really good job is, as our people have been quarantined, particularly staff, teachers, they've been working from home and teaching from home. And our students are able to sit in the classroom with their Chromebook and do their lessons looking at their teacher. So it's really gone rather smoothly, I would say. I think that concludes everything that I had as far as information and discussion.
Okay. Anyone have questions about that?
No, not about that. I have some comments on other things.
Okay.
Now?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Go ahead.
Had parents complain to me about teachers not responding to emails from them or their child. And people are complaining they want face-to-face parent-teacher conferences.
Well, I think that's too big a risk. I mean, I don't think that it's wise for us to do that. I don't think I want to put our teachers in that
I
predicament
understand
of
that.
having
I just
people.
thought I should tell you.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to do it remotely by phone or Zoom. You had something else?
And I mentioned to you earlier about the same situation where the parent brought medications that her son has to take every day at noon for the nurse, and was very rudely treated by one of the receptionists in the office. That needs to be corrected.
I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to closing items. Or if there's any closing items from any board members that you'd like to share. If not, anything else, Mr. Howard, that you have?
Nope, I'm
Covered everything? All right, if not, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You're really.
Meeting's adjourned.
Really